Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So wonderful to be with you tonight. And it's Wednesday at 7 o'clock South African time, and it's time for the MAP show. And I know that we're going to be inspired today. It was quite amazing. Glen and I met for breakfast this morning, and we were talking about the biblical quotations where it speaks about old men having dreams and young men having visions. And we had a little discussion about that and tried to work out exactly what it means and the significance. I'm hoping Glen learned something about it, because tonight he's going to talk to us about vision-led. So, folks, let's have a big welcome for Glen McQuirk tonight.
There's something about that music, Peter, that just gets me excited, and I trust that those of you who are joining us this evening are also getting into the rhythm of the MAP show, because, of course, tonight is number 79. Can you imagine? 79 back-to-back sessions, and we're going to make that number 100, 200, 500, 1,000, and, man, you better believe it. We have great vision. And so often people think vision is limited to age. I want to tell you it's about people who are young in spirit. So Peter and I and Henny, who will be joining us later this evening, we are people with vision. I'll never forget my very first talk I did in East London. And for some people may be familiar with the Faith Broadcast Network. And way back in the year 2001, I was invited by Andre Rabert to give a talk on vision to the senior staff members. And I still remember so clearly there, and I came up with this great acronym, and I said, vision means visible imagination shared inspiringly, openly, non-stop. And so, this evening, I'm not going to be talking about that, but what I do want to say to you is that you need to be sharing your vision every waking moment, not just with other people, but your self-talk. Those voices that are inside your head need to be declaring your vision. And so this evening, I want to share some thoughts that have just dropped into my spirit, literally. 20 minutes from the start of this talk. And so I want to share them with you because it's exciting. And maybe it was inspired when I was thinking about the quote that Helen Keller gave. I had the opportunity to stay in a hotel in Cape Town. And as I was driving to this hotel in Pinelands, there was the street that I was driving on was called Helen Keller. I couldn't believe it. And of course, it reminded me of this quote. She says that the most pathetic person on the planet is not the person without sight, but the person without vision, the person who lacks vision. Vision, or should I say the V for vision, says to me that it is vital. Vision is vital for direction, discipline, diligence, determination, and all the things that you and I need to really move and step forward in faith. Vision is vital. During this last 3-year period, I wrote a new quote. The last one that I wrote that really meant something to me was back in 1999. I wrote down that you were born for a purpose that the world cannot do without. And in the last 3-year period, I wrote down something else, and that was clarity of vision influences direction. So clarity of vision is so important for you to make the right decisions. If you are making decisions and you have no clear vision, your decisions could be taking you on a detour. They need to be taking you to your destination. And that is why vision is so vital for you and I. In fact, vision gives life wherever it is kept in view. Vision is vital. What's interesting is vision is the invisible outcome of your gaze. It's the thing that you are looking at that no one else can see. That's what vision is. Vision is something that's invisible. It's there straight in front of you. It's staring back at you. It's looking at you. You are seeing it almost as if it was a real thing, and I believe it is. It's not something that you can see with these eyes, but you're seeing it with your heart's eye. And when you begin to see it, it is something that's invisible, but it's a reflection of the very real outcome that's going to exist as a result of you being here. So vision, or the letter the I, is talking about something invisible, but it is a real outcome that you can get excited about. And man, I'm excited about mapping the world. And I trust that those of you who are watching this evening are also excited about making a purposeful difference. And my goodness me, there is a need for that right now. I'm sure that if I asked you to raise your hand, you would be raising your hand and saying, yes, we need to have clarity of vision. And so it is something invisible. I wrote down something really exciting. I put here, it's, and this links in with the word seed, the letter S. I said it's the fruit-bearing, seed-producing harvest. So when we talk about vision, it's the harvest that you already can see that is going to be fruit-bearing and seed-producing. This vision that you have is not just for you. It's going to be the seed that ignites something in the hearts and minds of others. Peter and I were talking this morning about lifetime versus lifeline. I mean, when you have a vision, you are connecting and creating a lifeline that's going to live beyond you for generation after generation after generation. And that is something to be excited about. Vision needs to lead you into an unknown future with clarity. So many people are worried about all the unknowns. I want to tell you, when you have vision, there is no unknown. The future is clear. It is known and it directs you. Vision is such an exciting harvest that you need to imagine. It's fruit-bearing, seed-producing harvest that's going to multiply again and again and again. And if that doesn't excite you, if that doesn't get your heart pulsating, then you need to have a checkup from the neck up, as they say. But maybe that's the wrong checkup. We need to have an internal check. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But vision for me is the unseen scene that you and I can see. And our responsibility is to bring the unseen scene onto the scene so that other people can see the scene that we saw. That's what our life is about. It's about bringing the unknown into the present, into the known world. In fact, I want to say to you this evening, Henny, that the future is already in existence in the presence. It is inside of you. It is something that is waiting to be birthed. That's what vision is. It's a reflection. It's a mirror reflection that you can see of something that already exists. You just need to step into the future to reveal it. And if we can understand that our responsibility is to bring the unseen scene onto the scene so that others can see the scene that we saw. Man, that could invigorate life in dry bones. It can turn people who used to have dreams into people with vision, people who can see beyond the present, that can see something exciting. Peter loves to say that hope for the future is power in the present. I just, I can imagine right now when I look at this logo or this T-shirt or this statement in front of you right now, I can imagine, I can see that I'm speaking to a world out there. Wherever you might be tonight, you will hear this message, and it is designed by nature to invigorate within you the passion for a future that is not like the past. Talking about the good old days is not or does not belong in our vocabulary, because we are going to be talking not about the good old days, but the exciting, prosperous, powerful, purposeful future. And I am looking forward to that future, because something, it inspires us. The letter I inspires us to activate our imagination so that we can step in faith into a future and bring the impossible or make the impossible possible. Vision is the ability to see things that have not yet been created. It's designed to bring what others see as impossible, that can't happen, into the reality today. Just this week, there's been a scientific breakthrough where after 80 years of the idea first being born, they finally were able to achieve fusion of some kind. I don't know if it's called fusion or fission, but I'm sure Colton will help us later on this evening, because he loves to read about those kind of technological things. But it's a breakthrough. But it's the result of somebody having the vision and then backing up that vision with constant, never-ending, persistent steps of faith towards that, despite the fact that it took 80 years. I know that if that is the length of time it has taken, the person who had the vision is no longer here, which demonstrates that when you have a powerful, life-changing vision, it's going to live beyond your lifetime for generation upon generation upon generation. Start thinking multi-generationally. Start thinking beyond your life. If you do not, you're going to become sad. You're going to become disappointed. You're going to become disillusioned. I don't know if you're feeling like I am tonight, but I feel like today is a brand new day. I feel like today is the beginning of a new season. Today is the start of a new year. In fact, I would like to wish you Happy New Year so that you can feel the excitement that I feel inside. I know that great things lie ahead for those who are able to dedicate their life to a vision that they have seen, not only with their mind's eye, but with their heart's eye, and that they direct the choices, the steps, the decisions that they take based on that vision and that outcome. Vision is the object of your pursuit. The question you need to ask yourself is, what got you up this morning? What were you pursuing? Did you get up this morning because somebody else told you you had to get up? Did you get up this morning simply because the light was shining through the curtain? Did you get up this morning because your alarm went off because the power was cut? Did you get up this morning because somebody else in the bed got up before you? Did you get up this morning because there was a crying baby, a news broadcast that you couldn't miss? Did your alarm clock wake you up this morning? Or did you have something worth pursuing? Did you have something worth investing your life in? Because I want to let you into a little secret Today was an investment of your life. You gave away 84,600 seconds, which is almost the number of heartbeats that literally beat it today. You've invested those in something. Did you invest them in the object of your pursuit, your vision? Or did you spend them on other people's desires for your life? This is an inspiring me. And I want to just, for the last letter, you know, when you have a letter N, it's always an interesting letter. And but for me, it talked about a never-ending, unshakable ignition system that fires or ignites the passion within you. That's what vision does. It kindles that passion. It lights, it stokes the fire. It feeds you in a way nothing else can. When you have vision, there is nothing that can knock you down or keep you down. Yes, you may trip and fall as you go along. But you know something, what others see, when other people see obstacles that look like massive big rocks in the way, for you, they are simply pebbles on a pavement that define the pathway that you should take towards your vision. I'm super ready to hear what the panel has to talk about this evening, because you know, I'm expecting. In fact, I'm not only expecting, I'm expectant. There's something that I did this morning, and I want to, you know, just remind you that this little thing is where we are living. There were some photographs taken of this little place, and just for those of you not where I am, I live somewhere around in this little bottom part of Africa. And you know something, that this little ball is our mandate. You were given a mandate to go into all the earth, to have dominion, to take your purpose into all four corners. You are not here to wait for some kind of calling. You already were called and sent for such a time as this. And the vision related to your sending, your deployment, is inside your heart. So we need to take a look inside there. I wrote it somewhere earlier on this evening, and I don't have it as part of our vision talk, but I remember that I was writing down that we need to look inside, because the gift that we have had, or the present that we are given, is inside our heart, and that present is present in the presence of today. You have a present inside of you. And when you begin to look at it and gaze at it and stare at it and become consumed by it, it becomes clearer and clearer to the point where it is a vision that must be pursued with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. I trust that if you are someone who aligns my action plan with the master's action plan for your life, you will be stepping into what we call my anointed purpose, and you'll experience miraculous, abundant provision. May that be the story of your life, igniting a purpose and passion in others. It's been wonderful sharing with you this evening. Peter Darrell is going to be back with his wonderful panel this evening, and I can't wait to hear what they have to share with us.
Wasn't that wonderful? And when I think of Wasn't that wonderful? And when I think of vision, I always think of Sun City. And every time I go to Sun City, I find myself looking out over there and just thinking about Sol Kersner's vision. Because Sun City was created out of really semi-desert, and he's turned it into this incredible oasis. I remember listening to Gary Player, and Gary Player was saying, I've been charged with designing this golf course. And just look at this. And there was nothing much but some dry cow patties and the like. Between him and Sol Kersner, they turned it into an incredible paradise. And that's the sort of vision. I think of Walt Disney and Disneyland and Disney World, and how he envisaged this long before anybody else had done it. I think of JFK and talking about putting a man on the moon. And we hadn't even put a man into space. And there've been some incredible people out there with some incredible visions. And I'm just looking forward, and I'd like to hear what Henny's got to say about vision and what vision has meant for him and his experiences with it.
Let me share one story which is very interesting. I was on the receiving end of a vision, if I can call it that. My wife was diagnosed with cancer in 2019, and we were fighting a battle and going through the battle. And then she died in April 2020. And I've gone through a process of looking for a new partner, as I cannot be a single person. I eventually found somebody called Adele, and we got married. What is very interesting is, and this is the vision part, after we got married, she showed me, let's call it a vision board. She had a little book. In that book, on the one side, it was a prayer saying, I'm praying for a new husband. He might be going through a tough time right now, and that started in January 2020. He might be going through a tough time right now, so please be with him. And then the funny thing is, she also had a list of 31 items that the new husband should actually be part of. Very specifics, like he needs to be 1.92 meters tall. Very specifics. He needs to be humoristic. All those kind of things. And the funny thing is, I think I've matched all 31 of those items on the list that she had. So for me, I think that's the level of detail we need to go to in our visions. The more detail we put into that vision, the more we put in the senses, the more I can feel it and smell it, the more we're going to eat it.
Oh, wonderful. I love it. I love that story. Could you like to enlarge a little bit more about
it? A little bit more, as in the starting point of it, or the vision, or the list?
Just to carry on talking about vision.
Vision, I think, and you mentioned Walt Disney right now. So I love reading around interesting things. So I'm a story person. Whenever you start connecting a story to something, it makes it a lot easier to do something. The vision side of things, Walt Disney, I read when Walt Disney started, he had this room called the vision room. It was below the stairs. It was a cramped little room. But when you went in there, there was no rules. Not we can't do it, we can't do that, we can't this, you can't imagine that. In there, they had dreams. When they walked out of that room, the people had to make those dreams a reality. So I think that in itself is a vision. And then the last thing I can say, which was very interesting for me as well, as I read about Michelangelo did the David sculpture. And somebody cornered him and said, so how did you see, or how did you know what to take away from this big block in front of you to get to the sculpture? And he said it was quite easy. I just chopped away everything that wasn't part of David. And I think that's the level of detail we need to go to.
Yeah. And I think sadly, so many people don't have that. And I think we wind up with a lot of people, they have this vague idea that one day they're going to reach retirement age, and then they're just going to retire and they're going to relax and enjoy life. And I think sadly there's something missing. I was telling Glen this morning that over the weekend I met a man of 94, and sadly his wife passed away just a few weeks ago. But at 94, he's still fired up and has got a vision for his life, and he's got a purpose for his life, and he knows exactly what he's doing. He's working for a far greater cause than just for himself. I've just seen Carlton there bobbing up and down. Carlton, you're obviously dying to share your vision with us. Would you like to share your vision? Carlton, I'm not hearing you. Are you muted, Carlton?
Are you there?
There you go, boy.
Yeah, no, vision, I tell you, can have such a lot of different explanations. I remember when I was at high school, after standard 6, which was grade, grade 8, I think.
Grade 8.
You still, what they say in Afrikaans, jy's 'n groenetjie. You're still a newborn in the school. And when you reach standard 7, which was now grade 9, I suppose, then you were past that beginning stage. So you feel like you're now a high schooler, you're one of the boys. And as you guys are aware, I come from a Christian background. So anyway, so now we meet with the guys in the toilet. And in the boys' room toilet there, the guys were starting now to chat and go on, and they start smoking and all that. And then there I wanted to be with one of the boys. And then I took one of the cigarettes, and I obviously did what I was, but I assumed I was supposed to have done. But boy, I coughed and I wheezed. And the tears came out of my eyes the way I just couldn't handle my cough. And I'm wheezing. And I'm just thinking that death is coming my way. And as I am wiping my tears away from my eyes, as I'm wiping my eyes now, I see the vision of my Sunday school teacher, a lady by the name of Sister Norke. And all she is doing is just looking down and just shaking her head. I can tell you that was the biggest shock of my life. That even when I went back to class, we still did mathematics at that time, and then the teacher still asked me, Carlton, are you okay, etc. You look like someone that's seen a ghost. And I thought, lady, if you only knew, if only you knew what I went through now. And to cut a long story short, I got home the evening, told my dad, I said, Dad, we must go to church. I must go and see Sister Norke, my Sunday school teacher. But Wednesdays was prayer meeting, and obviously it was more for adults at that time, but I insisted. And my dad obviously saw the real insistence in me and the determination of wanting to go. And I approached the Sister Norke and I told her my experience. And then she mentioned to me, don't think that because you're only my Sunday school kids, I don't treat you as one of my own children. I pray for you regularly by name, all you Sunday school children that's in my class. And that vision, which you can call a spiritual vision, has turned into a physical vision. From that day, I have never touched a cigarette in my life. I'm now mid-60. Not one cigarette has touched my life from grade 9, which I don't know what age it is, about 13, 14, I don't know.
15, yeah.
Yeah. And that is where a spiritual vision turned into, you can say, a practical or a physical vision, because as from that time, I just decreed to myself, never ever will a cigarette touch my lips again.
Yes, yes. Lovely, lovely story. Now, what about a vision board? Have you created a vision board, Carlton?
Well, that is a very, very important thing. You need to have some idea of, where you are going to with timelines, etc. And the nice thing of it, like I spoke to Glen sometime, I think on one or two of our sessions, when I mentioned how fantastic it is to be able to, even with Glen's encouragement, now I need to write a book one day, etc. So the last few years, I started obviously just jotting down things now on computer, and it's going to be one hell of an edit job one day. But anyway, so I'm just loading it like mad. Thank God for MS Word. And on there, it's so nice to be able to look back and see how one has changed, what you thought of that time, how it came to fruition later on, and where you are now. And the visionary aspect of it, the things you visioned, the things you proposed you were definitely going to do, want to become, want to achieve, the goal you would like to, reach, etc., etc. It just proves how important it is to have a visionary board or program to be able to get you to where you would like to go to, but in steps that you physically see and can feel and experience.
Yes,
And I
yes.
think that is where, and that is one of the admirations I have with the Map for Life programs, because there is such a lot of material and infrastructure in place that you can actually have that visionary board or program to get you from step to step. And as I said, the nice thing is to be able to page back and look back again and see and give yourself a pat on the back of what you achieved, etc., or alternatively, what needs attention and where you need to chop and change.
Yes, yes. Henny, have you had any experience with a vision board in your own life?
I'm in the
Me,
process
definitely. Oh, sorry.
I'm in the process of redoing it. The challenge I find right now with the vision board is really being an engineer. You go into too much detail, and it's difficult to put sound and taste and everything into a vision board, because that's really what you wanted to do. The more you can feel and taste and hear the vision, the stronger it will be. But yeah, I've seen it happen in my life as well. So you have to put that down. You almost have to close your eyes every day and spend 5 minutes or so just feeling and living what you are going to be doing in whatever the time frame is that you put down. And it does actually happen. You have to see and you have to feel it. And once you start doing that, you are going to get there.
I always, when I think of vision, growing up in the 60s as I did, and I had a thing about Africa, and I always wanted to go to Kenya, and it was just one of my dreams. But as a South African, it was an impossible dream. And I had an experience at some stage in the early 80s where I flew over to the UK, and coming back, by that stage, we were able to fly over Africa. And the particular plane I was on actually landed in Nairobi. But us South Africans weren't allowed off the plane. But I thought I would push it to extremes. And I actually managed to get down the stairs, and I felt so great that I actually stood on Kenyan soil. And I felt I'd done something that was impossible. And then I was fortunate a few years later, and I say a few years later, it was quite a lot of years later, that I actually went back to Nairobi and for a conference there, and I had a wonderful time in Kenya. but it was just something that was an impossible dream for us at one stage, but was able to do it. So that's my little thing about having that to dream, and it's just something to keep us going. And it's those dreams. You start off with dreams, but then, as Carlton was saying, when you take it and you add to it and you put the bits and pieces and turn it into something, it's amazing how miracles happen. Carlton, would you like to share a little bit more on the subject of vision?
Well, in the education activity that I'm in, it obviously becomes a very important factor to bring across to students, and even in my coaching practice, it's just something that becomes imperative to be able to have a program in place in the form of a visionary board to be able to actually get you where you need to go. And one of the things that amazes me to a degree, which is not that, if you think about it, it's not that unusual, but it still becomes something that astounds you. And that is how many people have got a similar goal or vision towards a goal, but the visionary steps they are taking is different. And that sort of guarantees a very important factor. And that is, we're all created individually. We're not all the same. And therefore, it is so important, which I bring across to students as many times as possible, that don't expect Michael's plan to work for you as Cedric. Because Cedric and Michael has got two different set of programs, different backgrounds, different upbringings, different circumstances that they were living in and the environment is in. And therefore, it becomes to a degree reasonably important, which I have noticed in my practice. As much as I have a general coaching meeting or gathering with a crowd of people, you still find that individual coaching, because of the difference of the way people understand what life is, what visions is, what a visionary board is, how to be able to take that visionary activity and incorporate it into your system. And as I said, you can have 5 people there and you will have 4 different ways of people trying to achieve the same thing, but in different ways. And that is where we as coaches, we as mentors, we as Map for Life, what can you call it, specialists, must be able to be well equipped to be able to decipher the differences of people, and from there come up with an idea or a program or a strategy to be able to get them from where they are to where they want to go to. And the thing I believe, which I just believe in, and that is spend a few minutes, well, even 15 minutes to an hour, or half an hour sometimes possibly, do a little bit of indirect research of the client or the persons that you are going to deal with, so that you have at least an idea of a strategy to be able to put on that visionary board for that person. Because the sad thing that I encounter many occasions is many people are very embarrassed or shy sometimes to just indicate that, look, I don't seem to understand, or you lost me, or something like that. And then they give you the impression they understand, etc., etc. They come back to you next week and they're exactly where they are or more confused, etc., etc. So that becomes so important when it comes to us as guiding people towards a visionary end result.
Henny, what sort of coaching are you doing, and do you have similar experience as Carlton?
Sorry, Peter, I lost the connection.
I was asking, what
Can you just
coaching
ask-
are you doing at the moment? And do you have similar experiences to Carlton in igniting that vision in people?
I think it's got a broken connection there.
Broken connection. Yeah, the question of igniting that vision, I think is so important. I've seen over the years there are people who talk about doing something, but they never move from the talk side to the action side, and we need to be able to ignite that flame and so on. Henny, are you back with us? I can see you, Henny, but I can't. Carlton, would you like to talk about igniting the ignition factor?
I just lost you there. Say that we just got into load shedding now as well, so we're having an intermittent connection there.
Would you like to just comment on the term I was using was the ignition factor? Is that there are people from time to time who will talk about a dream, but it's never more than talk. They never get around to doing it.
Yeah, look, I think that many occasions that the dreams people do get is sometimes so unexplainable to them,
Yeah,
that they are totally lost. And when you try and sort of speak to them or try to get them to speak, etc., about their life, for argument's sake, and they somehow or other get that thought of whatever dream they experienced, then it sort of just throws them off the line. And that is why we can sometimes have a conversation with somebody, and then you sometimes wonder, but now how on earth did this person now get to that topic? I mean, totally disrelated to what we were actually now talking about or what we were planning towards, etc., etc. Out of the blue, he comes with something. And on more than one occasion, when I managed to get a guy now on a one-to-one basis and tell him, I says, look, because I like making notes when I'm in the form of recording, or alternatively also just jotting down when going through sessions with people. Then when I have the occasion, I will then get this person aside and says, look, we were now just talking about this particular thing. We were on that track. We were sort of using that program to get there. And then you came out of the blue with something now that you felt was very important for you to bring up at that time, but absolutely no connection. So you can you just give an idea what that connection is? What made you connect whatever you brought up to what was actually spoken about, or etc. And it's amazing how many times that person will come out afterwards and says, man, you won't believe, I had something that was like a nightmare, like a real life experience that just got me to realize I need to make a change. I need to do something with my life, because my life is exactly like it was today as it was 20 years ago. They start to panic. They start to worry. And this is where, once again, referring to this MAP program, to give them some form of practical physical thing that they can actually physically see and do. This thing of the talk shows, as you just alluded to now, lots of people hear these talk shows and they're excited and they want to go, I am this, I am that, I can this, and there's affirmations and you name it all. The guy gets to his car and somebody just parked too close to him and he can't get out of his parking lot now. Boy, that affirmation is totally gone. That guy is swearing like mad at that moment in time. He's totally forgot. He's totally forgotten what he went through. So when it comes to a physical program where people are sitting and they are writing down things, they're jotting down things, they've got literature, they've got material, They've got a guidance sort of factor in the form of visionary boards and practical a means to be able to get them where they are. Those type of things. That's why the power of writing many people underestimate. It's easy to listen to a recording, but writing it down physically, it's almost as if there is some interconnection between the muscles from your hand when you are writing down something that travels right up to your brain. You have a greater way of remembering and sort of concretizing it into your system.
Henny, are you with us? Would you like to comment? Would you like to tell us just what Map for Life's done for your life?
So let's take it back a step again. About 18 months ago, I joined Map for Life, and it was a magic program. That's what I thought. Started the process, went through things, wrote down something, and then life happens, and I sort of fell off track, and it disappeared. Lost my wife to cancer in that process. And the funny part is, people coming to the end of their life seem to have so much more purpose. They've got so much more time. They've got so much more ability to give, even though they're in pain, etc. So I was asking myself the question quite a few times, saying, so have you done everything you had to do when you are taken away one day? And I think my wife was sure about it, but I wasn't sure that I was on the right track. So like I said to Glen, I don't believe in coincidence, but all of a sudden I just got a mail again in my mailbox saying, listen, we need trainers on the Map for Life site. And I was just curious as to why that came my way. Got into it again, but now I'm taking it as a lifestyle and not as a program. So do the things you have to do. And like Colton was saying as well, just writing down things makes a big difference. I'm busy, my wife is busy, we're doing things, but we don't have enough time for each other. And I just wrote it down as one of my goals to say, spend more time with your wife. And then like a week later, I was saying to her, are you picking it up as well? We're spending a lot more time together. I wasn't focused on doing it. It just happens. So writing down these things and making it part of your vision of things that you want to do, by writing it down, it gives it a purpose. And you start doing it without even knowing it. So I think that's where I am right now. Super excited. I think, like Colton as well said, is the missing link is Map for Life for me is the recipe. Everybody tells you to go bake a cake. Everybody can tell you to go do whatever, but they don't give you the recipe. They don't give you the steps or the practical part to make it a reality. And I think for me, that's the difference. I'm the engineer, like most of the people there. I need logical steps. Give me something that can get me there, something can get me excited, but excitement goes away. If I've got practical steps and I start doing it every day, habits turns into actions, turns into things that I do without even knowing it, that's what's going to make the difference to get to my vision.
Can I just go one further? And I'm moving away slightly from the vision, but to me it's important. Part of this, let's use the term, the map process, and it's a case of accountability and the map club. And I think it's critical to be associated with like-minded people that help keep us on the path and keep us accountable. Would you like to comment on that particular aspect?
Yes, I can. And let's take a practical example. So I was very involved at the church where I was, and I was the chair at a point in time as well as. And I think things start becoming a lot clearer, and I don't think MAP is very different. So at the church, you get together every Sunday or on a Wednesday, etc., etc. When COVID happened, that didn't happen anymore. You sometimes get sidetracked. I'm a runner as well. I don't feel like running this morning, but if I've got an accountability partner, he rocks up at my gate. We are going running, whether I feel like it or not today. And I almost got the same idea with church, as well as when we didn't get together on Sundays, when we didn't have people around us to sort of pick us up when we needed it, things started going a little bit south. And It's not the same doing things online, but you need to have that person that shares the same excitement with you, that takes you along. You can share your vision, your dreams with them. They believe in that. And without that, I don't think it is going to be that easy. Have somebody that's super excited with you, that walks the way with you, that's super excited for you when you reach the milestones in the way to your vision. And I think that is the key part. We've got the recipe, we've got everything. Now we've got somebody that actually shares the kitchen with you, helping you get your recipe going, and you helping them on their recipe. And at the end of it, there's going to be 2 wonderful cakes on the counter, not just one. So
Wonderful.
That's how I see it.
Carlton, would you like to add to that?
Well, many occasions when you find that person's ended up in a situation and you really delve into it a bit further, then you find that a lot of people use an emotional experience to make certain decisions. They become emotional. And due to that emotional feeling that they had, using emotions to make a decision that is towards life changes or life visions, you find so many cases that the decision was incorrect. And a simple example is, as you alluded to now, when you have to get up to run. You're laying in bed, nice and warm, nice and comfortable. Emotionally, you tell yourself, geez, I don't feel like getting up now. I'm sure I'll be able to, make up for the lost time. But mentally, your mind tells you, there's no way you're going to get the result you want to get the result if you're going to bank on your emotions all the time. Yeah. You need to take that emotion sometimes and just sort of push it aside and then use a mindful. That's where the mindfulness situation comes in. Be mindful of your thoughts. Be mindful of how important it is to have your mind, the mental capacity to be able to practically use it to get to where you go, not the emotion part. And this is one of the things that I find so sad when people sign up towards different programs. They go to a seminar and people are hopping around and make a noise and this and that, and everyone is excited, and there's this person speaking and that person speaking, etc., etc. The people become emotional, and now they start signing for a 5,000, 10,000 rand program, etc., etc. Within the first 2 weeks, that person starts with the first 3 or 4 pages of that program, or they listen to half of one of the DVDs. They got 10 DVDs. They just went through half of the first one, and they started losing their interest because suddenly the mind just told them now, just like it. Is this actually the thing I wanted to do? And what I have managed to get across to quite a few people, when you are going to these seminars and things with the aim to experience whatever is on offer for you, make sure that your mind is in the right place, not your emotions. You need to know why you're going to that thing. And that is why it's so important to just read about the background of all these seminars you attend. They'll all give you an idea of what's it going to be about, what topics is going to be discussed, what the speakers are, what their histories are. Read that. And from there, you can make a decision whether this is really something I would attend or not. And 9 out of 10 times, when I manage to bring this across to people, because look, I don't discourage people from going to all of these seminars, but all I tell them is just be sure that you are going to a seminar that is actually meant for you. If not, you're going to waste your time and you might just make a decision there that you regret afterwards.
Gentlemen, I could carry on for hours. I could hear the music coming in saying it's time for us to say goodnight. So, Henny, yeah. Carlton, thank you. I wish we could continue. And to folk out there, I look forward to seeing you same time next week. God bless. and just keep on working.
I'm broke to get away on my own, to be thinking about my life. Yeah, been wondering why I do what I do. Nobody knows it but me, but I'm crossing the line. Yeah, whoa, I'm crossing the line, gonna set the world on fire. I'm crossing the line. Yeah, whoa, I'm crossing the line, gonna set the world on fire. From darkness to light, from blindness to sight, yeah, from wrong way to right, gonna set the world on fire. From darkness to light, from blindness to sight, yeah, from wrong way to right, gonna set the world. I'm crossing the line, yeah.